and hopefully everyone can see it on my screen. And I'm going to address the two questions you brought up that I think are very relevant for today. One is the unrealistic seller. And the good thing about this industry is the unrealistic seller thrives in every market. They're everywhere. It's not unique to the market we're in. They just seem to linger in every state, in every city, and they can be difficult to talk with sometimes because they get their mind set on their price, their house that's so special, and blah, blah, blah. So while we have our audience on, and these are all the mathletes in the industry that have been using Palmagent for years and years, I want to go to a button we have here called Sell to Net. Sell to Net was created for the unrealistic seller. Sell to Net is something that when you pull it up, it's the net sheet in reverse, I call it. It starts with the net goal. You know, sometimes we have clients, hopefully it's not a lot, but we have clients that say, you know what, my wife and I have discussed this property and we would like to make 50,000. We want to make 50,000. As long as you can sell our house and we can clear 50,000, we're good. Does everybody ever get that? This one kind of started because we were sitting in our title partners' offices. They were calling me escrow officers, and they were going back and forth trying to run scenarios, trying to figure out what those numbers would be. So it's the net sheet in reverse. It starts with 50,000. This is what they want to make. You put in their payoff. They still owe 6 1/4, and that's it. Pick a closing date and hit compute. And this will show you what you need to list the property for you to clear the 50,000. Now, the reason this is a little funky is our real estate commissions are often based on a sales price. So you have to have the sales price before you can compute 6%. Title insurance often in different states is based on the sales price. So it just kind of goes back and forth and plays with those numbers and gives you a good visual on the spot that you can sit there with your clients, showing them comps. They haven't even been thinking of the number 736. All they've been thinking about is their 50,000. And what we've seen more often than not is you don't say, great news, I think you can net 75,000. They've already kind of done some math. Usually it's the men. They've got in there and played around with the numbers and said, if we can get her to agree to take the listing and we can clear 50,000, then she can squeeze her commissions out of the rest, or he can squeeze his commissions out of the rest. It's usually someone trying to play with our commissions, but it all fits in the category of the unrealistic seller. So make sure you know where sell to net is, because when you need it, it's a phenomenal calculator. It's fast and it's easy, and it lets the computer tell them, you know, we might be in the wrong ballpark. The second one I have for unrealistic sellers is, okay, it's just a normal net sheet. So I'm going to do 675. I'm going to say the payoff is 5 1/4, and I'm going to hit compute. This is something that's really strong in this market, and I want to make sure everyone knows about it, everyone sees it. Over here on the top right, you see where it says holding costs. You can just from your phone swipe over. Holding costs are the cost of keeping this house on the market. This was the #1 question we got from all of our users across the country, was when someone's sitting here and they're so stuck on a price, and we're trying to say, you know what, if we accept this number and it takes us another 60 days to get an offer, we would have been better with this number. So this is one that you can swipe over, and it will show you on this property, what are the holding costs, the taxes, the insurance, the interest. The principal is not part of this because technically they're getting credit every month they pay their mortgage, but a quick visual of what does it cost to keep this house on the market. Now, in the bottom left, I can hit edit expenses, and I can come in and add an HOA of $500 a month. I can say that there's, you know, $1,500 a month of total utilities, water and electric and all that stuff. I can even go in and say there's $250 a month in lawn maintenance and stuff like that. So this will even let you fine tune those numbers more. But if you want to look and say, you know, overpricing the house, you know, may sound nice. However, if the house sits on the market for 90 days, especially if they're already living in another city, then we might be shooting ourselves in the foot. Let's price the house appropriately. And I haven't seen anything else in the industry except for some agents that have created some Excel spreadsheets to try to do this, that can compute this for you so quickly. So those are my two for unrealistic sellers that I think are very hot and relevant right now. I want to make sure everyone knows about them, knows they're on their phone. Now let me get to the second part, which is unlocking real estate. Now, I'm going to use this, Tom, whenever you get back. I'm really curious. This is one of my favorite slides that I always show, and it's telling a story using numbers. And we updated this morning, so these numbers are relevant. U.S. tax revenue, 4.9 trillion. Fed budget, 6.3 trillion. New debt, 1.4 trillion. National debt, 33 trillion. Recent budget cuts, 28 billion. Politicians are trying to figure out why we don't care about these numbers. And I think it's because no one really knows what a trillion is anyway. It's hard to relate and connect with these numbers. So what we did is we took 8 zeros evenly off of each of these. So they're proportional. And we said, what if we use a household budget to try to tell a story that we can connect to that's more relevant to us? So here's the exact same story. Annual family income, 49,000. Their budget, 63,000. Oh, that's a little easier to see that Houston, we may have a problem. Their debt they're adding to a credit card is 14,000. Their outstanding balance on their credit card is 331,000. They're making 49 a year. Does anyone see why we might be in trouble with our finances in this country? And they've gotten together and really tried to get drastic with the budget, and they've cut $285. This is the same story, but using a story numbers that we're used to. And the reason I say that is these calculators we're running in social media, where you're able to go in and put the numbers in that work for your market. It makes all the difference in the world. I used to see people, being from Texas, 150,000, you could get a really nice home. And I'd go to California and I'd run scenarios of 150,000 and I'd get laughed out of the room. They couldn't even hear what I was saying or what I was showing, because you need to be able to fine tune the numbers to your audience. And that might be different price points. That might be someone specific of here's your scenario. So what I want to do is I want to jump into a new calculator that we have. First, we have then versus now. Then versus now has been viral. It's been our most posted calculator on social media. And that is the one that when you come into it, I'm going to pull it up right here. It's really cool because we all have the person who feels like they missed out. 2 years ago was the right time to buy. It'll never be right again. We missed out, thanks, but no thanks. And the truth is they did miss out. Now, when we remember two years ago, most of us only remember the positive. We don't remember the negative. We don't remember that we put in 30 offers. We don't remember that offers couldn't get accepted. We don't remember that our clients were settling for houses they didn't really want. So then versus now lets you help make an apples to apples comparison to buying 2 years ago at 3.5% interest or 3% interest to buying today at 7% interest. So let me show you how this one works. You come in and put a list price of your offer. I'm going to say 650. Okay. And then you come down here and you say, the same house 2 years ago, while the rate was fantastic, we were having to offer 100,000 over, or this one I'm going to do 75,000 over. I'll say 7.25. I get nervous doing math on my own. Okay. So that's all you got to put in. 650 for this house that's back on the market now, and we can actually get an offer accepted, 7% interest. So that's not the fun part. But then 7.25 is what it took to close on that house because someone had paid $75,000 over ask. We've all seen this. So now when I hit compute, it does a side-by-side comparison, and it's going to go through and show you the offer prices. It's going to go through and show you the payment difference. It's almost $1,000 more a month now. That stinks. You're paying more interest now. That stinks. However, the 10-year cost of living in this home is much more similar than one might think, because we were having to bid over ask, and everyone's already forgotten that. We've forgotten the bad parts of it. And oh, by the way, in the next 10 years, if rates do drop like everyone's predicting, you can refinance, and it actually might be a better time to buy today. And how are we having those conversations with our clients? That's it. How are we going out and saying, hey, listen, I understand. However, you remember that house we tried to buy and we couldn't buy it? It's back on the market. And I just want to show you your 10-year cost of living in this home, and all things are considered when you're making a true apples to apples comparison. it's not as bad as you might think. And if the rates do come down and you can refi, it actually may be a better time.
Everybody write down that 800 number, 1-800-624, right? 1-800-624-9575. If you call my office today and you say, I would like the bananas offer, right? If you have ever thought about doing business with us, if you've ever thought about having someone like myself in your corner, and I'll say it to you this way, and then we'll go into follow-up. Basically, what I'm telling people right now is on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 is you have so much certainty about the plan that you're currently following that this was really fun, but you don't need someone like me, right? But if you're under 10 right now in terms of certainty, meaning you are not as certain that you have a plan in place today that's going to generate you hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions in 2024, maybe millions of dollars. And at the minimum, I would say, someone just said a 2, so pay attention. At a minimum, I have a program we're running right now with all of our clients. It's called $100,000 in 100 days, $100,000 in 100 days. And it's basically 3 33-day plans that you work with your coach. And if that is of interest to you, you should call my office today and say, what is the bananas offer? I'm tired of not being at a 10. I want to be at a 10. Now, with that said, take a look at this really fast, because here's what's going to happen. When you implement what it is I'm talking about, I just give you a number there. You got 497 people in your database. What I know is right now there's 34 properties that are going to get listed for sale, right? So we got 497 people in our database, 34 are going to get listed for sale. And what most of you aren't paying attention to, and Brandon, for whatever reason, the clicker went too fast. Here's the thing I want you to be clear on. From the time that you connect with them, from the time that they raise their hand and say, well, we're not sure, we're thinking about it, we've looked at it, but we're not, maybe we're going to move here, maybe we're going to move there. It's about 88 days for sellers right now between the time that they registered the thought with you and they actually put their home on the market. 88 days. So my question for you, first and foremost, is how many days can you afford to not be sending all these text messages? How many days can you afford to not be sending these emails, recognizing that if you do it today and one says, yes, I'm in, let's go, you're 88 days from putting that home on the market. Now, on the flip side, the thing you got to be really clear on is on the buy side, you guys all know, and this is going a little slow for my little click. If you take a screenshot of that, what you're going to see is in the world of follow-up today, the reason why most people don't earn the money that they want is they fail to acknowledge that consumers, right? Our data for about a decade shows that 8% of the people that you interact with that say they want to buy a house in the first 30 days. So if 100 people were going to buy from you, just for easy math, 8 do it in the first 30 days. But of that same group of 100 people that say they want to do it, 27% do it in months 2 and 3. 33% do it months 4, 5, 6, 22% do it months 7 through 12. And the final 10% of those customers, they do it after a year of lead follow-up and nurture. And what we know is most agents quit here. Most agents stop following up. So I want to just give you some insight. Ready? On the buy side, the current average is 115 days. So it's 115 days from the time that they raise their hand with you before they actually go under contract. 88 days with sellers, 115 days on the buy side. Now, why does this matter? What am I really saying to you? 2 things. 1, if you don't have a schedule that has conversion baked into it, if you don't have a schedule that has follow-up baked into it, if you don't have a schedule that says 9 to 11 and 4 to 6, I'm texting, I'm emailing, I'm calling, I'm nurturing relationships. Write this down because there's no slide for it. 62% of consumers right now are listing with a real estate professional based upon proximity. This is from the National Association of Realtors. Proximity means I've been hanging out with Mary more than anybody else. Brandon keeps talking to me. He's my guy. Whoever has the relationship, the proximity, the connection, that's who's winning. So please begin to alter your schedule to make sure that you're doing that every single day. Now, on the flip side, I want to give you a little script. That my clients have found to be absolutely bananas. Now, my wife, married for almost 30 years, I'm with her recently. We were in Dallas and she goes and gets her hair blown out. And, you know, she goes to the same guy like every 45 to 90 days, depending upon what it is, what service that she wants. Do you think, for all the ladies out there, do you think that my wife leaves the salon without scheduling another appointment? Do you think that she leaves the salon without scheduling another appointment, knowing that this, you know, dude that she goes to, his chair is booked nonstop? We all know the answer. Of course, you auto schedule the next appointment. The mistake that I see so many people making is you're on the phone with a customer and they're like, yeah, Jeremy, we're thinking about doing it. And we, you know, Kath and I just need to get together and discuss. And you're like, hey, Tom, I bet you're a lot like me. I don't know why it's not working, Brandon, but if you would forward that, that'd be great. I bet you're a lot like me and you guys work from a calendar. If you're talking to me, I'd be like, of course I work from a calendar. Everything in my whole life is scheduled, right? So since you guys want to put your home on the market in the spring, right? Go to the next part. Ready? So since you guys want to start the process in the spring, let's pencil in time to start the pre-selling strategy session. I know you're writing that down because it's so delicious. Jeremy, you guys want to sell your home in the spring? Let's get some time in the calendar early to do our pre-selling strategy session in half the time frame. So I want to meet with you guys in November, right? I want to meet with you at the end of October, right? So is the beginning of the month better for you? End of the month? Is the beginning of the week better? End of the week? Is it morning or afternoon? I do all that stuff. And here's the thing, my friends. I never hang up again with a lead without scheduling an appointment for the next time we're going to talk. I never hang up with the customer without scheduling an appointment for the next time we're going to talk. That's what separates the best from the rest. A lot of people chase leads. A lot of people play the follow-up game. Some of us, though, we just schedule. Hey, so you guys, you're uncertain. You're maybe thinking about end of next year. Why don't we get together in 45 days? I'll give you an update on the market. I'll let you know what's going on. I'm going to show you this really cool calculator that I have that kind of gives you some sense of like, you know, before and after, if you buy now, if you don't buy now. It's so powerful. And let's just let the math sort of just keep educating you guys on making the right decision. It's so insane. So I only told you two adjustments. One is to realize you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars because you're not following up past the first 30 days, right? So one is it's got to be in your schedule. The other one is I'm no longer going to follow up on leads and say, okay, I'll call you in a couple of weeks. Hey, I'll follow up with you guys in the next month or so. That stuff is not what professionals do. The best people schedule the appointment to have the next conversation, to keep the ball moving forward, and you're going to do the same. Now, I'm going to put that up there one last time before I turn it over to Jeremy. I hope, first and foremost, because I got to bounce Jeremy in a minute, and I'll let you take over with the calendar. I hope that every one of you has a wonderful holiday coming up. Thanksgiving, right? Holidays. Today's Yom Kippur, right? For many of you. So happy Yom Kippur. What I want to stress to you is if you need money between now and the end of the year, if you actually want to generate more listings, if you need a guide, if you need someone to help, I have 237 battle-tested coaches, probably one close to your market, certainly 50 that understand your market inside and out. And if you know this is the time, then I'm going to tell you to call my office. Have that conversation. The QR code is just all my free stuff. I want you to have everything. It's all there. Download it all. But if you're like, I know I need a guide. I know I need somebody. If I called you every week, you would sell a lot of houses, right? Because I would get you over your nonsense, over your biases, and you would start to do whatever it takes. And I hope you're paying attention to that. So, you know, just call my office. Even if you're remotely interested, call and say, I'm remotely interested. What the heck is the bananas offer? All right, Jeremy, I got to bounce to a session. I see your app is up. You all know how much of a fan I am of this. You better reach out to your title partner today and say, let's get a session together. I want to get on this app. And Jeremy, but I got to run. So I love you, pal. I will see you in Dallas in a couple days.
Thanks for everything you're doing. I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone I know got a lot out of this.
Cool.
And
thank you guys. God bless.
Soon. We'll see you
All right,
soon.
my friend.
And,
I'll see you soon.
To close, guys, we're going to jump in. And now I've got the calculator working. This is the new one that we're launching today. And like I said, it's buy now or buy later. Buy now or buy later. And so you should have a new button under your calculators. And it comes up and says, okay, what price house are you looking at with a client? Okay. And then real quickly, it gives you the normal quick estimate. Here's the payment. Here's the closing cost. It's what most buyers, are weighing, how much is it going to cost to get into it? I put 10% down in this scenario. And again, this is a national webinar. Your numbers won't look exactly like this. This is a local market here in Dallas, but it gives you the payment and closing cost. Now, here's where this one gets fun. If you swipe over on your screen, this is powerful because everyone who's listening to all the experts feels like because of supply and demand and because of inflation, prices aren't going to be cheaper next year. You know, a few people I really respect came out and said they were, and they've all been proven wrong time and time again the last 2 years. So depending on what you think about appreciation, this says, let's look at that number because your clients haven't looked at it. They need to see it. They need to see, if I wait for rates to come down, what might I pay for this house? And just this visual alone, when I was showing Tom, he's like, stop right here. This is it. They need to see what 3.5% appreciation over the next 2 years. And there's a little clicker here over the next 3 years. What does 3.5% appreciation look like? And by the way, if you scroll down, we have some of the top expert predictions, and we'll keep fine tuning these as more numbers come out. Here's what they're saying prices are going to do the next 12 months. And oh, by the way, look at the very bottom. The last 42 years, they've averaged 4.92. So we need to get our minds around. We need to get our minds around looking at this number in the future that no one's thinking about. It's going to be the same. Yeah, it might be a little more. What does 3.5% over the next 2 or 3 years look like? That one right there might be where you stop. Let's just let them, sit on that one for a minute. Now, here's the alternative we're offering. Here's the alternative. I'm going to swipe over again. What if we buy now at today's price? And if rates do drop in 2 or 3 years, we refinance. So you have a slider here, and this is 1 point. So if we buy today and rates go down in 2 years, which we all know is probably going to create another feeding frenzy, especially if they go down to, say, 5.25, let me compare those two scenarios. Well, you're going to save over $1,000 a month on your mortgage. Here's how much, because you can refinance. So this is a buy now and refinance in 2 years, 3 years. I changed it versus buying in 3 years. This one, again, very powerful. Just sit right here and stay on this one. It gives them the comparison they're looking for, because a lot of people feel like if they wait, even if they pay a little more money, but get a lower rate, they've won. You know what? We did have to pay another 40 grand for the house, but we got it at a 4% interest rate or a 5% interest rate. Yeah, it might not be as good as you think. So let's run that scenario. I want to show this to everybody tomorrow, because these conversations are coming up. And again, it might not be for everyone, but I want you to know that it's here when you need it. And I told Tom, I think I'm going to stop right here. I do want to show you one more calculation for your analytical buyers that really, this truly isn't for everybody. I would say 90% of the people I'd stop here. We did run one more calculation. And what we did is we said, over the next 3 years of this 7% interest rate, so you see it's $137,000 of interest, that first line. 3 years of this interest rate versus the appreciation of 3.5%. If you take those two things into consideration, help me feel better about the 7% interest rate, because a lot of people are emotional about it. I just can't do it. It's been 20 years and now they've risen so high. I just can't do it. This just gives you another alternative of feeling, the cost of money over 3 years when you factor appreciation into interest paid. It's really like 2.99. And again, this one really isn't for everybody. I may stop here, but this is a calculator we wanted to get out to everyone, because these are the kind of conversations that can unlock inventory. So many people are frozen in their emotions, frozen in their feelings about what's happening. And I even know for myself, I start playing with some of this and I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Maybe this isn't such a bad time to buy, because we can actually buy a house. If rates went to 4 tomorrow, we would have all other kinds of problems. And we have to get out and be able to communicate this incredibly complex message to our buyers and our sellers. So I hope everyone got a lot out of this. I certainly did. Your title partners across the country, they're who make this possible. You know, we have incredible partners. And if you haven't noticed, this app is free. We have the $1 version for some of the premium content. By the way, we spend over $2 million now creating all those calculators and all that content for you. It's the marketing person you can hire for $1 a month. But your title partners are who make this possible. We're going to give all the slides, the recording, all of that stuff to our title partners. Reach out to them and they'll make sure you get a copy. And I know we went a little long today, but I hope you feel like it was worth your time because I've been in real estate my entire career. Both my parents were brokers since the early 80s. It's the only thing I know. I love this industry and we're happy to play a small role in your hopeful success. Thanks, everyone, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.